Welcome in to NFL Daily, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we will break down the top potential quarterback destinations for some of your favorite quarterbacks in the National Football League in 2023. The offseason already shaping up to be a wild one with some big names changing places. We'll give our thoughts and more in just a few moments from right now. Before we get to that, though, a quick question for you guys. Who is the best quarterback available this offseason? There's so many guys that you could choose from that could be changing uniforms. And I'm saying not just trades, not just free agency, just who do you think is the best potential quarterback to be swapping out their uniform this offseason? Let me know in the comments section, and we will get started with today's show. A lot of changes here in 2023, but what's also going to be interesting is to see what happens in San Francisco, as news that came out today that Brock Purdy has a torn UCL. He is out for 6 months, and so that leaves the 49ers with a lot of questions. Of course, remember, Trey Lance had his injury. Jimmy Garoppolo looked like he was getting back to being able to be available if they would have made the Super Bowl there. And so now, with this 49ers team, what are they going to do in 2023? Do they turn to Lance? Do they try to make things work with Purdy when he comes back in 6 months? A lot of questions for the 49ers as they head into this offseason after losing to Philadelphia. Now, besides Brock Purdy, what about some of these other names across the NFL? Where will some of these top quarterbacks end up in 2023? We're going to go through some big names, and I think I might have some surprises here for you. Let's begin with Aaron Rodgers, who I think personally is the best quarterback that's going to be on the market this offseason. And I think that he will not be a Green Bay Packer. I think he ends up with the New York Jets. And ironically enough, I think he follows in the footsteps of his predecessor, Brett Favre, who went from the Green Bay Packers to the New York Jets. This year was a down year for Aaron Rodgers. 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, about a 65% completion percentage, and just under 6,700 yards. And I believe that Aaron Rodgers still has some great football left in him. Don't get me wrong. This, to me, is more about the Packers than it is Aaron Rodgers at this point in time. The Packers are closer to a rebuild than they are to being a contending team at this point. They have a lot of holes, a lot of weaknesses, and if you're Aaron Rodgers, where you're at in your career, with the age of where he's at right now, he doesn't have time to be sitting through another rebuild. If Aaron Rodgers wants to get another Super Bowl ring, if he wants to get those MVPs he desires, it's got to be with a team with a better roster. And the Packers are a long ways away from being where they need to be for Aaron Rodgers to compete for those championships and for those MVP awards. So for me, I look at it that way, that this marriage is likely coming to an end. It has been rocky the last 2 or 3 years ever since Jordan Love came to town. I think the Packers would like to see what they have in Jordan Love, quite frankly. But to me, New York, that team makes sense for Aaron Rodgers to potentially end up there. So that is my prediction. I have him ending up with the New York Jets, who are just a quarterback away. That Jets team took some tremendous strides this past year. Remember, they hired Nathaniel Hackett as their offensive coordinator, who, of course, was the OC in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers not too long ago before taking the Denver Broncos job. So that's how I see it happening. What say you, though? Let me know in the comments section. Aaron Rodgers will not be a Packer next season. That is our true false statement for today. And if you agree with that statement, type T for true. If you disagree with that statement, type F for false. Let me know in the comments section. T for true, F for false, if you think Aaron Rodgers will be back next season in Green Bay or not. Next up is Lamar Jackson. And I personally am of the belief that Lamar Jackson will be back with the Baltimore Ravens in 2023. And I think that a long-term deal is going to get done. Look, we've heard all the right messaging from both parties involved, that Lamar Jackson wants to be a Baltimore Raven. He has said that all the way back to last offseason when they were in the middle of negotiations. And the Ravens have said even recently, John Harbaugh said not too long ago there was a 200% chance that he would be back with the Ravens, that he's going to have a say in who their next offensive coordinator is. Now, think about this. What did we tell you with the Packers situation? That the Packers were in a predicament where they were closer to a rebuild than being contending, right? Well, the Ravens, you look at this team, and with the way that they're shaped and the way they're built, the Ravens are not far off, in my opinion, from that top tier of the AFC, of the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities, the Cincinnatis of the world. And to be a part of that equation, to be one of those contending teams, it's a lot easier if you have that franchise quarterback in Lamar Jackson there as opposed to moving on from him and starting over and trying to find a franchise quarterback. You look at the history of that Baltimore franchise with guys like Trent Dilfer, Kyle Bowler, Joe Flacco. No one has compared to Lamar Jackson. That franchise has been waiting a long time to find a franchise quarterback of Lamar Jackson's caliber, and I don't think you want to hit the reset button to try searching for another quarterback again. It's easier to pay Lamar now than it is to go on the hunt to find a franchise quarterback again. Lamar coming back to Baltimore makes too much sense for me. They can make that work. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code NFL Daily, you can get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, get $125 to spend for free. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. Super Bowl odds are out for the big game here in a couple of weeks, and the Eagles are an early favorite at this point in time, a 2-point favorite to be exact, with the over-under pretty high, expecting a high-scoring shootout between these two teams with the over-under at 49.5. Get your bets in now, chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. Let me know what you are going to bet on, whether it's the Eagles or the Chiefs, or if you're going with the over or the under. Let me know in the comments section who you got and what your bets will be. Get your bets in now, chatsports.com/bet. The next quarterback, let's talk about Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is done. I think he is going to retire at this point in time. And, you know, you look at what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it was a success. He won a Super Bowl his very first year. His second season, they went to the playoffs and ultimately ended up losing to the Rams. And then last year, this past season was just a disaster. I mean, it was. And don't get me wrong, I love Tom Brady. I will always be a Tom Brady fan. But, I mean, you have to be blind to look at this team and realize that Tom Brady was not the same quarterback that he was previously. And I don't want to be a guy that turns into a meme later that Tom Brady, ends up, going back on the comments I said. But I'm willing to go ahead and put this out there. I think Brady's washed, in all honesty. It is time to hang it up. We know about the divorce and all that. I'm not going to go into any of those details. But in the actual truth of the matter here, what does Tom Brady have left to prove? He's 46 years old. It wasn't good last year. And I know people are going to make the excuse, well, he didn't have a run game. Well, the previous 2 years, the run game wasn't that great at Tampa Bay either. And if your solution for Tom Brady is to go to Las Vegas and play with a dumbass like Josh McDaniels, you're going to be mistaken. That's not going to go very well. That might actually even go worse than his time in Tampa Bay. To me, it doesn't make sense. Tom Brady, we've seen it all. You've had a great career at this point. I don't think he's got anything left to prove, and I don't think going to Las Vegas is going to help his cause either. So I think it's time for Tom to hang it up. What say you? Should Tom Brady retire? If you think he should, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let us know in the comments section of Y for yes and for no if Tom Brady should hang it up. We are your offseason headquarters here at Chat Sports, covering the NFL each and every day with the latest news and rumors, free agency, trades, and more. We're counting down to the draft, the Super Bowl just around the corner. This is the place to be. If you love the NFL, if you want more daily NFL coverage, you got to subscribe right now for the latest happenings across the National Football League. Best part about it, doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe for free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/@ChatSportsTV. Couple more names for you to get to on the quarterback destinations. Let's get to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo ends up with the Washington Commanders. And Jimmy Garoppolo what we saw in the limited time that he played this year for the San Francisco 49ers before he got hurt, he didn't look bad. 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, over 2,400 yards passing. Jimmy G will never be a top 15 or top 20 quarterback in this league. But when you look at the bottom tier of quarterbacks, there's always going to be a spot, I think, for Jimmy G, at least at this point going forward. If you go in with the expectation with Jimmy Garoppolo that you are not going to have him go out there and throw 40 touchdowns, if you are willing to accept that he can be a game manager, but he's shown time and time again he can still win those big games, I think you can make that marriage work. Jimmy G does not need to be your long-term solution. He's never going to be a franchise quarterback. But if you can figure out a way where he can be paid fairly and be in a situation where he doesn't have to do too much, Jimmy G is just fine as far as I'm concerned. Washington, Ron Rivera, we know that his track record with quarterbacks is not so great. That Washington team had some good runs at points this year. But the quarterback play going back and forth from Carson Wentz to Taylor Heineke was a disaster. Garoppolo could bring some stability, and he could be like the last decent quarterback they had there in Washington, which was Alex Smith. So Jimmy G to Washington, that one seems like something that could make sense. Ron Rivera's got a lot of pressure this year. This could save Rivera's job potentially. Last one on the list, Derek Carr. I have going to the New Orleans Saints. And in the Saints situation, I know what some of you are thinking, that the Saints would like to have Lamar Jackson or they would like to get a young quarterback. But the way things work out in the draft order and the position that they're in, I don't feel necessarily good about them be able to get the quarterback that they want when it comes to the draft. And I don't think Lamar's leaving. I think you go with a veteran like Derek Carr for now, and then you hope to get that quarterback next year or sometime soon. I just don't think this is going to work out. When you look at that coaching staff, there's a lot of question marks there about what's going on in New Orleans since the post-Sean Payton and Drew Brees era here. I'll say this much. I think Derek Carr ends up there, but this is not an endorsement of Derek Carr. I think this is the beginning of the end for Derek Carr. Things did not end well with the Las Vegas Raiders. And now you go to New Orleans, I don't think all of a sudden he's going to find some success he didn't have previously. To me, I think that Derek Carr would struggle no matter where he goes, even if it's New Orleans, Vegas, I don't care wherever. I'm not confident about Derek Carr. If I'm a Saints fan, you end up with Derek Carr, I'm not very excited about that either because it's not going to end well. So, where do you think Derek Carr ends up in 2023? Let me know in the comment section. Tell me a team that you think that he will play for in 2023. You can also let me know on social media as well. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. Talking about the National Football League on all those social media platforms. And I will see you next time right here on NFL Daily.